How you going? My name is Antonio and this is my 1973 Holden HQ Monaro. I've always loved them from a young child. My father used to have several of them when he was younger as well. Not a four-door, he had a coupe. But I've always grown up with old school cars and looking at photos of him when he used to own his, and I've just always fell in love with them since then. I grew up surrounded by old school cars. My father always had old school cars, still does. So yeah, every weekend we used to go out, we used to jump in his car all the time. He's got a Ford Fairlane, and I guess that just kicked it off from a young age. I've got two older brothers, they've always had cars. So growing up, watching them buy, build and race and all that, it sort of got me into the scene. I bought this as a bare rolling shell from a guy out in Perth. 2019, I believe I bought it in from memory. Running gear, it's running a 9-inch 4-link diff setup, 35 spline. It's running a T56 MWA Magnum gearbox from Malwood Auto, Tremec, 6-speed. And then in the bonnet, it's got the last ever Australian Sudden sold crate motor for LSA. So it's still got 3 years factory warranty on it. Initial vision for the car was nothing to the state that it's in at the moment. The initial vision for the car was to just have an old school nice cruiser. I was initially going to put a 350 Chev in there until my brother-in-law got into my ear about having to always constantly repair parts because they always break down, which I always see from my brothers or my father. It is common, but yeah, so they're completely different. It was meant to be just all original interior, GDS all original, and then 350 Chev to literally just make it like an old school car. But yeah, obviously it's turned into something different now. So currently it's running a set of 009 Street Pros, front and rear, bead locked rear 255 6015s. And then the fronts are 26.6 R17s. I am going to be putting a set of 275s now with these rims. There's a fair bit of fabrication work throughout the car, especially in the engine bay and again throughout the bracing all underneath. And that was completed by Ross Camullia from Dynamic Motorcraft Australia. It's got a factory GDS rear seat, 2 retro spec Recaros at the front with the fishnet headrest. It's been completely retrimmed. Obviously I bought the car as a bare shell like I mentioned, so I didn't have anything at all. So everything inside is brand new, all the door cards, the carpet. It's running a combination of Napa leather and Alcantara throughout, with a combination also just to touch it off with some yellow stitching throughout. Most of it was, if I couldn't get it brand new from off the shelf, then I actually got some parts 3D printed. So the armrests in the car are actually brand new 3D printed armrests because you can't buy the original ones in great condition anymore. It's also running a Alpine head unit, digital dash system as well, and I've got a full 8 speaker setup system from Alpine in there as well. So sounds good if you've got the music on, which is good. The colour is a factory colour, it's chrome yellow with the gloss black GDS stripes. Originally I was actually going to go for a purple. I tried for a few months and mixed up a various amount of different colours, variants of purples to try and find the right one that I liked, but I just couldn't match or get the one that I really loved. And then one day I saw a factory chrome yellow one driving on the road, and I fell in love with it. It caught my eye straight away. I've always loved a sort of, yellow to orangey combination, which is sort of what it is. It's not like a bright yellow, like a devil yellow, but it's also not like a sun orange. So it's like a nice combination in between, and it just really pops. So ever since then I said that's the colour. Besides the shell that you can see behind me, there's nothing factory on the car. Everything's been custom made between all the chassis support rails underneath, and strengthening. Obviously getting the LSA to fit inside the engine bay with all of the alternative components that go with it, like radiator and all of the components that the LSA needs to be able to run, along with adding all of the other electrical components I've got in here, like electric handbrake and a few other bits and pieces that I threw in. It caused a bit of an issue throughout, trying to make everything work, and then once it did work, going through the teething issues, finding what was wrong with it, and trying to sort it out. So there was a various amount of things, to be honest. I don't think there's probably one part in this car that hasn't come in and out at a minimum of 5 to 6 times. So like I said, at the moment it's still a factory motor, and it's making 500 rear wheel horsepower and about 700 newton meters of torque. Definitely happy with it at the moment. It sounds great and goes well. I've taken it to the track only 2 or 3 times. Best time so far is an 11.3 with a 1.860 foot, so still some room for improvement, but very well for a heavy car. Obviously with all the modifications and everything are in it, the car does weigh just about at 1.8 tons, so it is heavy. They factory, they're about 1350, so a little bit heavier than standard. But it is going into a shop in the next couple of weeks, to be honest, to do some top-end motor work. So might be pushing somewhere near around 650 to 700 now. It's a flex fuel setup, so all E85 compatible fuel lines throughout. Everything's pretty much braided from engine bay all the way through and hard lined only where it needs to be. And I've got a triple hanger aeroflow billet pump setup in the fuel tank with 2 Walbro 525s in there at the moment. So the scenario was we were going to do it once and do it right, like we've done with everything. So that way in the future, when I do want to do more power, like I will be doing relatively soon, at least everything is ready to go and it's compatible to be able to take that extra power without having to pull everything back out and update. So yeah. Looking at doing head and cam essential package. So we're going to be running a BTR stage 4 cam, which is the Brian Tooling cam system. That should rev it out over the 7K mark, which will be good, and definitely change the noise on idle. Obviously being stock, it's a little bit quiet at the moment, but yeah, once that cam goes in, it'll be nice. We'll be doing CNC ported heads, CNC ported LSA blower, the blower snout as well, they'll be getting ported. A set of 1000cc injectors will be going in there, and all the supporting mods around the cam as well, that would be going in. I think that's pretty much it. It will be obviously tuned again on E85 flex fuel system, so we'll see what the difference in power that's going to make, which will be great. And it'll be pulling at about 15 psi of boost once we do the upper and lower pulley arms as well, with the harmonic balancer upgrades and whatnot. So yeah, it's definitely going to liven up the car a lot more than what it is now. I'd say probably the greatest achievement one is getting the car finished. 2, it's actually fully engineered in New South Wales as of a couple of months ago. I don't think there's another HQ with an LSA set up that's fully engineered in New South Wales that I know of. I know of a few outside in interstate, but not in New South Wales, so that was a great achievement. But apart from that, was being featured in the Street Machine magazine twice. First time was during the build, and then the second time was actually taking home the top Retro Tech Auto Best Street Car Award in Summer Nats 2024. I unveiled it in 2024 when I had finished it, and that was a really great achievement, both just to be there and then obviously to actually win the award was fantastic. I enjoy most about the car the fact that I can jump in it, take it to the track, race it, and then drive it back home. I can also go for a cruise with the boys, and if I want, and I have in the past, is put the luggages in the back with the missus and go down to, down the coast or up the coast for a holiday and jump in this and take this. So it's not just a dedicated drag car or a dedicated, just around the block sort of car, only around home. It's, I can take this, to Terrigal. I've taken it to Terrigal a few times and it's a comfortable drive all the way, so I enjoy it. Goes in for sale? I don't think so. It was too much blood, sweat and tears and time put into this thing. I don't think I could ever see someone else take it off my hands, to be honest. As much as obviously there's been some shops during the build that helped out throughout the car, which obviously being fabrication work and interior mainly. Other than that, to be honest, it was a combination of myself and my brother-in-law. I wouldn't have been able to do it without him. But we pretty much put all the R&D into the car and all the effort to actually get it to where it is today. So I don't think I'd be able to watch someone else enjoy it after all my hard work and labour. I don't think I'd ever, unless I'm buying something finished, I don't think I would be buying something to add to the collection as another hobby. This thing definitely took it out of me, doing it from ground up, and obviously to this extent with everything being custom fabricated. It was, a lot of swear words, a lot of late nights, and I think that's sort of taken it out of me, to be honest, and I don't really think there'd be anything else that I'd want to see parked next to this. I think this ticks all the boxes for me. So that sticker, that was made by one of my brothers, David. He's next door neighbour, made that sticker for my car and his. He's got a 74 Valiant Charger, and he made that sticker for the both of us, and it sort of created, there's always been a little bit of a rivalry between all three brothers. My current brother, he was the first one, one of the first to have an old school car, but that's been 9 years still in the build. So I don't know if that's going to hit the road anytime soon, but definitely between me and my brother David with his Charger, there's been a fair bit of cruises that have happened, and obviously a lot of rivalry. Him having an auto setup and old school and mine obviously being manual and new school motor. There's been a bit of rivalry at the track, but still to this day he hasn't beaten my times. I think his best time was an 11.7, and that was a one-off. Other than that, the last couple of times he's been at the track, he's been stuck in the 12s. So he's got a bit of catching up to do, even though he likes to throw it in my face all the time that his car's faster somehow. But no, it's good fun. Gets us out, gets us together, and it's just good to enjoy the cars together. Obviously now that I'm going to be doing the motor though, we're looking to probably pull around maybe anywhere between the 650 to 700 at the tyre. Obviously, like I said, my best time so far was an 11.3 with a 1.8 60 foot, but I'm sure with the extra power that I'm going to be pulling out relatively soon, my brother might be seeing my tail lights a little bit further behind from the track this time. So he might need to start tinkering underneath that bonnet quite soon. I'd like to thank my father-in-law and mother-in-law for allowing me access into their mechanic shop. For majority of the build, it was at their shop, access to a hoist and obviously all of their gear that they had there. Without that, this car would have cost me a lot more. So that's a big help that they done for me. So a big thank you to them. And then obviously the main person that helped me throughout the entire build would be my brother-in-law, Jonathan. Without him, the car wouldn't be the way it is at the moment, nor would it even be on the road and engineered in New South Wales. So big thank you to him. All my family members that helped me throughout the process, my brothers, big thank you obviously to my wife for putting up with me for 5 years of it during the build, and the 2 years after that trying to get it engineered with all the headaches and hiccups throughout the way. So all the late nights, and definitely a big thank you to her for putting up with everything. Car wise, I'd definitely like to do a big thank you to Ross Kamulia again from Dynamic Metalcraft Australia for all the fabrication work. Michael from Marine Auto Trimming for the sensational interior that he's done for me. Leo from Muscle Car Restorations for the bodywork and the paintwork. Obviously that's the first thing anyone sees when they come to look at a car, so he's done an exceptional job on that. Jason Menya as well for wiring the entire car from start to finish with nothing to start off with. Everything's hidden, there's no wiring that you can see. There was a lot of late nights with him as well at my father-in-law's shop and at his house as well. So definitely a big thank you to him as well. The car looks fantastic. Obviously you can't see any wiring throughout and everything's tucked away and neat. So it's definitely just a nice touch to the car.